Okay, hello everybody, it's Jeff Day Brings How are you guys doing today? It's been a while since I've done one of these, but we're gonna do like a tech gaming video kind of here. I'm gonna answer some questions from some people on MeWe and Discord that relate to gaming or computers. We're first starting off here with my good friend Bubbles from MeWe, who asks to talk about what computers would be best for gaming. Now, this is very tricky and why I personally prefer the console. When it comes to PC gaming, if you want the best of the best performance, you better have a lot of money to invest in graphic cards, cooling fans, a good CPU. Make sure you have multiple cores, but all else, you want a good motherboard. A good motherboard will, of course, help out in so many ways. And then, of course, you need a PC case that's big enough to put in liquid cooling. You're going to need to increase your power supply, which also increases power consumption. So, really, it depends on what kind of games you're playing. If you're high-end gaming, you're going to need a high-end computer. Low-end gaming, you're going to need a low-end computer. And one of the biggest problems is if you're a retro gamer like me, you need a computer that can run 32-bit or accept 32-bit programs. So I actually have a laptop that I strictly ran in Windows 7 32-bit just to play all my 32-bit retro games in perfection. No flaws, no glitches or bugs, pure perfection. And those games can't run on a 64-bit operating system or on Windows 10 very well. I gotta run in reverse compatibility mode, but everything was compatible with Windows 7, so keep an eye on operating systems, system requirements, minimum to maximum. If you're using a gaming laptop, though, make sure you go with a high-end gaming laptop, one that has enough fans and coolant. Make sure always, when you're picking out fans or anything, or you upgrade your computer with a new CPU, make sure you put in thermal paste. Thermal paste is very important. Same thing goes with laptops. Every now and then, when you're cleaning out your computer, or your laptop in this case, make sure you dust the fans out, everything. So take off the case, take the fans apart, dust them, and then remove the heatsink from the CPU. Reapply a good layer of thermal paste, and it'll help keep your computer from overheating. High-end games require more power, which generates more heat. Thermal paste alone won't help. You need a good fan system for it. You can also get a special type of pad that goes underneath the laptop that will help flow air, but make sure it's blowing air into the computer and not taking the air out. The intakes for a laptop for air is on the bottom, and the side vents are what blows the hot air out. So you want to make sure the bottom is not ever really obstructed. So basically, it really depends on what you're going for, Bubbles. If you want to play high-end games, get a high-end gaming computer. If you're going for low-end games or retro games, get a low-end one. If you want something in the middle, you don't have to do much. I mean, I can't run top-of-the-line games on this computer, but I do have a decent graphics card that's running in there. I got an i5 processor. I do need to get a bigger case because from between the Wi-Fi router I got, or the Wi-Fi card I got in there, the hard drive, the graphics card, and everything else in there, it's starting to get a little too hot for my comfort. So I need a bigger case that I can actually have more airflow in there and put a bigger, better fan in there. I do need to put liquid cooling in there because some of these games I'm playing now, it's kind of going to that part to where it's not high end, but it's close enough to where it's overworking my computer. So next up, we have a couple of questions from Level Hatsumiku. Again, more on the lines of gaming and computers, some computers. So this one's actually a mixture of computer and gaming. So she says, I watched a video of a Korean mother seeing her deceased daughter through a VR, and it got me thinking, do you think you can see your loved ones through VR in the future? Do you think it will be a good or bad thing? So I have not watched the video yet, but VR is a blessing in disguise. I mean, yes, the Japanese do use it for other things, but the real world applications besides those things and besides gaming is VR can allow us to view things in a new perspective, see movies in a new way, again, see games in a new way, and also, it heightens our senses, basically, because your eyesight and your sound are what will be amplified, and it will throw off your vision like that. VR it's truly unique. It's hard to find words to describe how awesome VR is. And the fact that people have actually designed it to do that doesn't actually surprise me one bit. I mean, when the Xbox Kinect came out, even though the Kinect is a crappy for gaming, I can list off several games that I have that are Kinect compatible that suck with the Kinect. But the biggest thing is doctors were using it, NASA was using it to do cool, amazing things. They had an exhibit at NASA down in Cape Canaveral, Florida, that used an Xbox Kinect. It was a little buggy, yes, but it was actually pretty awesome. And just seeing that was, where do we go from there? And then here comes VR. Now, VR is not augmented reality, but we also are seeing some small developments in augmented reality, just not major ones like we are seeing in VR. Especially with the 360 views on some YouTube videos, music videos, I found those very awesome and interesting. VR is getting a little bit cheaper, but right now the primary uses we're seeing for it is what they do with it in Japan and video gaming, but there's just so much to tap into video game. The thing I've learned is we have come to the point in time where the graphics in a video game, we are at the best. We can't really go any better. We are so realistic with our video games graphics that now it just comes up with, what else can we do with this technology? Let's immerse people into this. Let's throw them into the game. That's where VR comes in. So I do believe it could be a very, very good thing. Then again, it can also be a very bad thing. Too much VR can screw with your mind and your eyes. It can make you disoriented. Just, kind of like the Wii remote thing. It could easily go through your TV. You can accidentally walk into something or off something because you lose all perception around you. Like I said, VR focuses on the vision and the hearing. Everything else is zoned out for the complete and perfect immersed experience. So, we do have the technology for that, and I'm glad to see that we're using that for VR. I hope we actually can do more, like surgeries can use VR, like doctors can actually train to do actual surgery with VR versus like a simulator where you click and point. This one, you actually have your controllers here. You're actually performing the surgery, when in reality, it's not really a real surgery, but the closest thing you actually get to working on an actual human being. So I see medical uses for this, engineering uses for this. You got a simulator where, again, you click and drag. Those aren't very efficient because I deal with online lab simulators for my classes, and I hate them. You click, you drag, okay, that's great. I drag a 32-bit or a 32 gigabyte stick of DDR4 RAM, let's say, onto a computer. That's great, but how much pressure did you put on that? Because I know when I installed my RAM for the first time, I actually had it offset just enough to where it didn't read it. So I had to go back, re-push it down and everything. You push too hard on it, you break it. Push too little on it, it won't read it. It can actually damage the memory module itself, or it can actually also damage the RAM socket itself if you push too hard on it or not hard enough. It can short out. So simulators don't really prepare you for that, but if you can get to the point of VR to where we can do sensation, touch, feel, all that stuff, the future is this technology will be beyond gaming and other things. So now she has also asked me a couple other good questions here. We got about, I believe, 21 questions from her, excluding this 120. So, what was your favorite game of all time? This is a hard one. There are so many video games I have played time and time again. From PC, Atari, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, but I guess it would have to be Super Mario 64. That was the first game I ever got on the Nintendo 64. That was the first game console I ever got. It's my baby. I love it. I love playing it so much. It was a game me and my cousin would always play when he came over. So it always holds a special place in my heart. Number 2. What's a game you thought you'd like but actually hated? Okay, this is actually very recent. I went to GameStop. I was looking around, and they had this game. I think it was called Zombie Warfare. I read the back of the box or the game case, and it said that you could fight hordes of zombies, control zombies, and turn them against your enemies. It's like, okay, this is good. It's multiplayer, but it said it has a very awesome campaign, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I might like this. It was $14. Got it, brought it home, played it. It was the most god-awful, atrocious game I have ever played. And I played a lot of bad games. I took it back to GameStop, and they only gave me $3 back for it. But then they resold it for $13, so good old GameStop. But it was, the controllers were god-awful. The instructions were they didn't have subtitles, and then between firing your gun off at the zombies and the zombies moaning and stuff, you couldn't hear the dialogue very well. You had to crank up the audio on the TV, and even then, the zombies were still way too loud to fully hear the instructions, and the campaign it was garbage. It was utter garbage. So number 3, what's a really popular game everyone seems to love but you don't like? I'm going to receive a lot of flack for this, but Fortnite. Played it once. I did give it a second try. Didn't care for it at all. The whole concept was just... I like games that have structure. This game really didn't have any structure. It was just, you land wherever you land, you find guns lying around, you pick them up, try to defend yourself, you got borders that close in. And then when I played it, there were so many bugs. Like, I would literally land on a rooftop, I would be sitting there, and I'll be scoping out the guy in the next house, wait for him to pop up to take him out, and then the house just, like, glitches, and it says, you died. And it's like, what the hell happened? The storm wasn't closing in. Nobody threw a grenade. The house just glitched, and I was dead. So, didn't care for that too much. It really didn't impress me that much. I know a lot of people like it, and if you like it, that's okay. This is just my personal opinion. Okay, so, number 5. What game have you spent the most amount of hours on? Oh boy, that's a good one. If you actually go into Steam, actually, the game I have spent the most hours accumulatively on, I believe, is Left 4 Dead 2. And that's because I keep on replaying the stories with all the different mod combinations just for hilarity and greatness. Outside of Steam, console-wise, again, that is a very tough one. I've spent lots of times playing games, but I guess Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier, trying to unlock all the attachments on there was horribly hard to do, and then trying to unlock the ones online was even more harder. I mean, I wasn't horrible at the game, it's just such specifics on you had this much time to use this weapon to get this many kills in this area at this exact time. Very specific details, not like blunt ones, like half of them were. And then you got the best weapon attachments, the best weapons to unlock, or the hardest ones to do. I think I still got like 3-4 attachments in the main game, plus like 4 weapons to unlock, and online I still have a little bit to unlock, but not that much. So, if you had to marry the last video game character you played, who would it be? Let's see, what was the last video game I played? That I honestly can't remember. It's been a few days since I've actually played video games. I guess Jill Valentine from the Resident Evil 3 series. I did play that a lot. I don't care for the remake, but I love the original one. Jill Valentine was a badass. Resident Evil 3 was the first M-rated zombie horror game I ever played. Used to give me nightmares. Even playing it now, I still get jump scares, even though I know what's already gonna happen. The atmosphere was perfect. The new one took away all that stuff. They gutted it and just gave you the bare basics. And even that wasn't good. If you had to live in a world of the last game you played, what world would that be? Well, that would be Raccoon City, Resident Evil 3, and yeah, being chased. I will say this, the new Nemesis is scary as hell. I wish she was in it more in the first Nemesis form. I mean, we really don't see the second form of Nemesis till the near end. This one kind of rushed it, and I hated it. The new design of Nemesis was awesome. It truly was terrifying compared to the original one, but again, the game just didn't work with it, and it didn't create any real scare factors. But being chased by the original 1999 Nemesis would be terrifying. So yeah, I'd be terrified. Okay. Let's see, number 8. Have you ever had a crush on a video game character? Not really, no. What was the first game you ever remember playing? I kind of already answered that. Super Mario 64, Nintendo 64. My dad got it for me. That was a game we played a lot. And then me and my cousin played it a lot. So I actually really loved it. I still love playing it. I mean, that game was revolutionary back in the 90s. The graphics back then were crap. And then here came Super Mario 64, which was recognized to be one of the best 3D graphics game out there. So, I mean, it holds its own weight, even until this time. Let's see. Have you ever pretended to be sick to get out of something so you could play video games? No, I never did that. What game did you last complete? Well, that would be Resident Evil. Well, actually, no, Subnautica was the last game I actually completed, because I got that after I got Resident Evil 3, the remake. That's what I always refer to it as, the remake, not the original. I'll never just call it Resident Evil 3. It is a remake. It's a horrible remake of that, if that. But Subnautica is actually a pretty fun, interesting survival game. You can get it for free on the Xbox One if you have Game Pass. It's also very cheap on Steam. They do have a bundle with the new one, Subnautica Below Zero, I believe what it's called, or Zero Below. It's still in the beta stages, so there's still a lot of bugs, but overall it's a fun game and I enjoy it. What game are you playing right now? The Game of Life, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not playing any games right now. Like I said, I just beat Subnautica. Took me 3 days to beat it just to find everything on there. Wish they threw a little bit more in there and some more stuff in there. Hopefully they do. Or they open it up to the Steam Workshop and people can create mods for it. That will be really awesome. But right now, I guess I'm playing GTA 5 with my friends Wyatt and his buddies, because that's the only way I get to talk to him, because, you know, we're out of work, so I don't get to see him that much anymore. But he's a good guy, and he helps me out on GTA 5 Online. I help him out, so we have fun. If anything, if we don't get done what we're supposed to do, we just enjoy screwing around and destroying our vehicles. I do post random snippets of some of my best crashes on MeWe, so go follow me on MeWe. You'll see them. In your opinion, what is the best game console? Whew, okay. The best game console is what you want in a game console. What games do you want? I'm not going to say the Xbox is better, because I have an Xbox One. I also have a PlayStation 2, a Nintendo Switch, a 3DS, DS, a Wii, a Atari 2600, Super Nintendo. I mean, I got retro games on the PC, so when it comes to really what's the best console is what games do they offer, and that's basically it. What games do they offer? You know, Nintendo Switch doesn't have that many games out right now, but they did release the Nintendo Entertainment System and Super Nintendo Entertainment System emulators on there. So I can play some of the classic games that are so hard to find right now for my actual Super Nintendo, and that are extremely expensive for some reason. Um, I do hope they remake or release a Nintendo 64 emulator soon, because I do love the Nintendo 64 over all the Nintendo systems. But that's because it's my first console, and again, it has a special place in my heart. But in reality, again, it's just what games. Like, the reason I went for the Xbox was my cousin had the Xbox. I got to play with him and my other cousins and friends. It had Halo. I love Halo. And it had a lot of great deals, you know. With the gold membership, I got a free game every month. I got Halo 3, Gears of War, Iron Brigade, Saint Rose the Third. These were all fun games. I got them for free just for having a membership. And then with the Game Pass and the Prime membership with that now, or Gold membership, I get the 100 plus games from Game Pass. I can transfer those to my computer with the save files intact for a lot of them. Like when I downloaded State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition from my PC, it had my save files from the Xbox version already on there, which was awesome. Uh, but PlayStation also has a lot of good, unique games. You know, the Crash Bandicoot series for the longest time was strictly PlayStation. Resident Evil used to be strictly PlayStation. I mean, every game console had its unique ones. And back when Nintendo 64 was around, the Army Men series. What else did they have? Donkey Kong 64, Super Mario 64, Star Fox 64, my all-time favorite racing game, Ridge Racer 64. I mean, it really depends on what games they offer, what content they offer. Does it allow online gameplay? Do your friends have it? Or, you know, those play a lot into it. But I'm not going to sit here and actually recommend one console over the other because I own it. That's really up to you and what you're looking for in a gaming console. And again, I actually prefer consoles over PC because, as I stated earlier with answering Bubbles' question, when it comes to gaming PCs, if you want to play the top of the best games that are out there right now, you need a big hard drive. I had to delete half of my games just to put some of these newer ones on there because they take up like 32 to 78 gigabytes. And it's like, oh my god, no, that's not okay. I only have a terabyte. Now, all my old games I got running on here take up like, I think one took up 1,375 megabytes. That's not much. Or one I actually took up a couple kilobytes. It was a really old game. It was Axie Snake. It took up a couple of kilobytes. So those games are fine. They're not going to take up a lot of space. But the newer games, yeah, they take up a lot of space. So you need, you know, at least 2, maybe 3 terabytes on your hard drive. You need a fast hard drive, not a slow one. I would recommend an SSD, but again, those are very expensive. You need a good graphics system, and even with those, you need a better power supply to supply power to the graphics card. If it has 2 fans, normally that means you need to have its own power supply added to it, plus the power from the motherboard. Also, again, increase the power supply. That's going to increase the heat, so you need good cooling fans. And if you have a small computer case, you're going to need to upgrade to a bigger computer case to allow more airflow and better fans to be added. So all that money adds up. And even then, you know, when the new Windows comes out, we'll say they make Windows 11, will that mean Windows 7 games will no longer work or play? Or Windows 10 games won't work and play? I mean, with Windows 10, I have to actually go to reverse compatibility mode for a lot of my games to play them, and then keep switching back and forth. So I, like for collections, not a fan of that. That's why I got my Windows 7 32-bit set up, so that way I can play those games on that perfectly fine. Don't have and play the newer versions on this computer without having to set the whole system to Windows 7 mode or Windows Vista mode. are PC games really superior to console players? So, as I just stated before, PC gaming takes a lot of money. But one of the best benefits is mods. Modifications to video games can make the game funner. It can add a whole bunch of new stuff to it. So that is one of the best benefits of PC gaming. Whereas console, they don't allow that because it's tampering with their files and product. So PC gaming for that. But again, if you don't have the money to invest in a good enough console, if you're okay with playing on the lowest settings possible or going for some of the older games, it's okay. But some games are meant for PC. Console adaptations are horrible. Some games that were on the console that went to PC, they were meant for console only, if you can understand that. What's your opinion on Fortnite? I already gave my opinion on Fortnite. Not a really big fan of it. Have you ever watched a Twitch stream? Yes, I've actually watched my friend's Twitch stream. Have you ever streamed yourself on Twitch or YouTube? Yes, I have before. I do Twitch streams now on my Xbox. If I could get a better computer that can allow cooling on it and get a better dual monitor system, I'll start doing Twitch streams again on my computer using my awesome software I have available, but can't really use right now because I don't have dual screens and it's kind of hard to see if it's actually working or not. Let's see. Have you ever used a walkthrough? Yes, I have. For Resident Evil Outbreak, try to find the hidden items. I've made walkthroughs before. That's when my channel got its start, was doing walkthroughs for Pokemon Snap. And I did walkthroughs for Outbreak, Resident Evil 3, Dino Crisis. And I did have to use some walkthroughs there because I couldn't afford the big fancy books they used to have before the internet, of course. And well, not really before the internet, before, like IGN started doing walkthroughs and stuff. And even then, those weren't really detailed back then. They're much better now. I will say that about IGN. They have good walkthroughs, but back then, GameSpot had the best one, and GameSpot was even better. What is the best weapon you've ever used in a video game? That's... Oof. I play a lot of action games, but best weapon I've ever used in a video game. Okay, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna say it. L1181A A1, or the actual name, Arctic Wolf from Black Ops 1. I think it's in Black Ops 2. I'm not 100% sure. But that bolt-action sniper rifle is actually a beauty in real life. Besides the name mix-up, it's actually a very good rifle. And it's actually the most realistically accurate weapon in the Black Ops series compared to their other guns. So I will give you credit for that, Black Ops. Okay, we got one more question from my friend over on Discord. Let's see if I can find that comment. Okay, so her question is, what is your opinion on how games are released now, incomplete versus 20 years ago, when you go a full game, when you got a full game when you bought one? I will actually be talking about this in more detail, hopefully with my cousin, or I got another person who might be interested in doing the video with me. But basically my overall opinion is, games back then, you didn't have DLCs, you didn't have internet connection back then, even in the early stages of PlayStation 2. So when you released a game, it had to be perfect. I mean, you couldn't do hot fixes or anything like that. It had to be rigorously tested before it was released, or it could ruin you. Now, they could just release a crappy bug-infested game and say, well, we're working out the bugs, but hey, you got a game. Yeah, basically bugs for a game that crashes all the time, has major bugs that prevent me from playing it. It glitches like hell, and wait, what's that? If I want to complete the story, I now have to pay an additional $15 for the second part. How does that make sense? And when they do open betas and they charge you money for a unfinished, incomplete game, to me that's just grotesque, because what if they never finish the game? Then you just got this bug infested beta game that they're never going to work on again. So essentially, you wasted your money, and I don't like that at all. And now they got those crappy microtransactions, and again, I'm going to be talking about this more when I do my other video, but I'm not a fan of the microtransactions. But I prefer the older games. When you bought a game, you bought a game, not half a game, not a game that if you want to play it better online, you just simply buy your way to be the best. You actually got a game where everybody played at the same rate, at the same, fairness. Now it's pay to win, or, just you buy a game and it's crappy as hell and wasn't very well developed. We need to do demo CDs. Every game should be required to have a demo, so that way you can play it. Or if it's a brand new release or something like that, do like the first half, do like a time trial like they used to do on the PC games. It's the full game, but you could play it like 3 or 4 times, like Wild Tangy or Target, I think. They had those tokens. You buy the tokens, put them in the game, you can play the full game. Once you run out of tokens, buy more tokens, or buy the game. Or you can use those tokens to play another game. That's a very good system. They still do that, and I'm actually glad they do that. Because, like, okay, I don't know if I like this game or not, but here I am about to pay $60 for it when I could pay $15, get like 25 tokens, put in 2 tokens, try it. If I like it, I buy it. If I don't buy it. And that's why I like the Game Pass on the Xbox so much, is because, a lot of these games, they look great. The artwork for the game covers are amazing, but when you actually play the game, not so much. And like I said, a lot of the PC games are now going over to console. I don't know where they got lost at, but they lost something that made the game more user-friendly. But overall, I think that we need to have more of those in the games, or at least more demos. And don't make the demo like so freaking amazing that you think the game's going to be just as good. And then just say, well, it's a demo. That's what we might have gone with, but instead this is actually what you get. You abuse the demos, you don't deserve our money. But I'm going to wrap it up here. That's all the questions I had. Thank you, Lobo Hatsumiku, Bubbles, and my friend Renoa. If you guys want to see me do more videos like this, please subscribe and leave comments and let me know. And as always, have a nice day, live, love, and game on. Peace.